It is April 17th, and this is the meeting, the Public Market Advisory Commission meeting. I'm Lisa Young, and I'll call it to order. Stephanie, could you do the roll call?
Yes. Commissioner Hardy,
Present.
Commissioner Bogue,
Present.
Commissioner Young.
Present.
All right.
All right. So the first item on our agenda is to approve the agenda for today's meeting, which you should have gotten in your email that Stephanie sent a few days ago. Are there any changes, additions, anything like that to the agenda? Okay, great. Could I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
And a second?
Second.
Everybody who approves, raise their hand or say aye. Okay, passes unanimously. All right, so the next item is the first public commentary, and this is on agenda items.
All right. Is there any member of the public that would like to provide commentary? I'm not seeing anyone else in the call right now. So I'm going to take that as a no.
Okay, well, there will be options for later public commentary. Next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes from our March meeting. Does anybody have any changes or additions or anything like that to the minutes from the March meeting? Hearing none, could I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
And second?
Motion to approve.
Great. That's this. All right. So let's vote on this, and everybody approve. Either raise your hand or say aye. Unanimous. All right. So now we can move on to the heart of the meeting, which is our regular business items, general updates.
All right. So my main update is we are anxiously awaiting the return of Lunia to market. We hope that will be occurring this Saturday, barring any unforeseen circumstances. So we're really excited for her to be back. And that also means that we are now fully staffed again, which is exciting because, when we get very busy, it's hard to not get bogged down with many things without having all of our staff present. And it also coincides with the busy season coming up too. So it is a great thing. And I literally just received the email just now that Lou is cleared to start. So it was down to the wire. I wasn't sure, but definitely true now. So that's very exciting. And it's partly because HR is just very much inundated with new hires and rehires right now. There's over 400 people that are in the process of being hired right now for the city. So that's why we were a little bit unclear if it was going to be an expedited process in time, but good news on that. And yeah, that is all that I have for that staffing update. I don't know if anyone has any questions or comments for that.
That seems great.
No.
Great.
Glad all the ducks are lining up for that.
Yeah.
All right. Next is vendor applications.
Great. So when we talked about it last time, we were in the process of processing returning vendor applications. That is completely finalized now on terms of our end. The only thing that we are waiting for from some people is outstanding or needing their licensing. And much of that has to do with MDARD having a cycle that is ending April 30th, so it does not match with ours. But for the most part, we've reached out to everyone that has licensing that we still need, and we've gotten a lot of them back, and the rest we're literally just waiting for people to get their various food establishment licenses from MDARD. Whereas other MDARD licenses are on a different schedule. So even if you're getting like a nursery license, that's on a regular calendar year schedule. It's just the food establishment licenses that are, in that unique space. But that was thanks to a lot of the work put in by Layla as well to get everything uploaded to our digital files, to have also a paper copy of everything. So that is fully complete, minus the licensing that we're still needing. So I don't know if anyone had any questions about returning vendor applications.
I just have a real quick question about the MDARD licensing. Is that just for the prepared food or everybody that does food?
Well, if you have to have licensing, you're under MDARD, because MDARD is what oversees farmers markets in the state of Michigan. So the only people that don't have licensing like that is if you are whole uncut produce,
Okay.
and other sorts of, farm products like that. But yes, if it's prepared food, but that can be a large range. Like the Michigan has a lot of different classes of what a food establishment license could be. So it could be like, for example, the Whitneys, they have a food establishment license because they need it for warehousing their meat, right? And it enables them to do the maple syrup above the exemption. So that would be one scenario. We also have it so that we can do cooking demos and serve the food. So that's why the market is licensed. So it's a very large spectrum of what people need for that. But yeah, it runs the gamut. It can be prepared food, but it could also be just farms that have to do it this way for licensing.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. I haven't waded into the MDARD licensing at all.
Oh, it's a world. The world unto itself. But it is very complicated and convoluted, and that's partly why we have to have a lot of tracking, because each vendor has a very different picture of what we need from them. So just making sure that everything they have is current, and that we have a physical copy of it. It's not enough for us to just have a number of it. We need to have a physical copy of the license.
Great. Thank you very much.
You got it.
Any other questions on the vendors applications?
Well, that was just the return applications, because there's also a new vendor applications piece.
Aha. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, we have had a incredibly high volume of new applicants this year. I checked comparatively to last year. We have had, so far this year, we have had 57 people applying. Since January, we had 37 total people apply all of last year. So with the online application, we're seeing a much higher volume than we had before. And that, makes sense given how much work I was having to do and still am doing as we're continually getting new applicants to apply. And we have accepted 17 new vendors of many different classes. The vast majority of them either have an orientation scheduled or have already had one and have already started. There's, I think, maybe 2 outstanding that we haven't heard back from yet after, connecting with them multiple times. But everyone else, for the most part, is either in contact with us or is already oriented and cleared to start. I did 3 orientations this week. I have 2 more next week. And that's still an ongoing process too. But it is a very high volume. So it is good, but it also makes it hard when we are short-staffed to deal with all of it. I don't know if anyone had any questions about that.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm just curious, do we have a way of determining how that impacts our stall availability for all vendors if we had 17 more in? I mean, is that something we, just how does that impact the market? I mean, we're close to full now, so.
Well, we have a lot of people that are not returning, and that's partly why I had to wait till we had everyone's in hand after the March 1st deadline, so that we had a better picture of who wasn't coming. I mean, there were some people that we already knew, like, for example, Good Neighbor Farm, they moved to Vermont, right? They're obviously not attending. So that's, 2 stalls there. And there's a lot of other people that have been sort of on the edge of retirement for a while, and it's not something that they wanted to continue with this year. So yes, I assessed that we had 24 stalls available, or 24 less people or 24 less stalls than last year, however you want to think about it. before I assessed who was let in. And on top of it, when I look at people that I'm bringing on, it's classes of vendors that we need. You know, it's farms, it's other things that we don't have. You know, we're trying to bring on a new knife sharpener because that's something that people ask us about all of the time. So, you know, and it's a mixed bag of different types of vendors, but there's at least 4 of them are new farms of a multiplicity of types, small and large. But yes, that's another reason why the vetting takes so long, is that we have to be very careful with many factors. Like, do we need them? What is their production like? Is their setup gonna fit? You know, like people are like, oh, someone asked me a couple days ago if they could bring like a huge trailer and could that be their setup? And I'm like, oh God, no. Because, you know, that makes it very difficult for us to try and figure out all of those things. So, you know, it is one of those elements. There's a lot that goes into it, but we make sure we do not jeopardize anyone's space, because once someone is in, they have to be accommodated, right? We don't have the capacity to say, hey, you can't come on this date, like other markets do that. But great question. Any other questions on that?
I just have a question, a general question about the logistics of the orientation, thinking about all the different hats you wear, Stephanie. So my understanding is it's in person, the orientation, which I totally get. Is there a way to do a group orientation or something like that to minimize the impact on your time or lessen the amount of time that you spend doing orientations?
Yeah, I mean, that's actually something that I had been talking to the Remy and others about recently, is because we have this new online application now, and because we have such a high volume of applicants compared to the past, we may, instead of having it as like a fully rolling application, have different times of the year that we open it up, right? So having it like now till May 1st, and then closing it, and then reopening it again, like in the late summer, fall, if we have space available, so that we can do sort of chunks. Because part of the reason we have to do it personally now is that everyone is starting at a different time. You know, like there's not enough people to have a group to get together. Plus, we have no place to host it right now, especially without our office. So I agree with you, and I've definitely been thinking about this. But as it is now, each orientation is about like 15 to 30 minutes, depending on the person, depending on how much they're doing. And I'm actually doing them all via phone or Zoom, unless someone has a request to come to market in person. Like we did one on last Saturday with a new vendor who wanted to do it in person.
Okay, great. Thank you. I just think for the new vendors, I think about orientation anytime. If you're a new kid on the block, how it might be nice to do it as at least a small group to meet some of the other new vendors too. Yep. So I'm glad you're thinking about that.
Exactly. And I think, you know, if we have a more streamlined schedule, it's a lot easier to do that, right? Like other markets, you know, they have this short window, you have to go to like a couple different times. And yeah, I don't necessarily know if we needed to be like that structured, but definitely something in between that and what we do right now.
Especially with the market being full, it seems like the seasonality of applications would be beneficial to, you know, several times during the season.
Yeah, and mostly it's just sort of like our experience too, seeing when people are applying.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because for us, we do have an upsurge in the fall time because, you know, people are sort of thinking, oh, the market I'm doing is starting to end. Let me look for other options. Like that is how we got our Ukrainian friends. Their Kalamazoo market was ending for the year, so they wanted a winter market. So that's how they came to join us. And they joined in November. So that's sort of why we were thinking having another cycle in the fall. But again, that's only if we have space. And a lot of that's contingent as well on what happens once the market office building is demolished, and how that may alter what we have available.
Great. Anything else about vendor applications?
Yeah, I had a question about whether there was like any plan, because I know there's no inspector currently, but I think in the city code they're supposed to be inspected within 6 months, which seems like a really long time, but is still like high season of market or like the tail end of high season of market.
Yeah.
So I was just wondering, um, because I know it doesn't have to happen immediately, but if there was any way the city was going to take care of that or something.
Yep. Yeah, we are hoping to get a new person started this year between the retirement of the other person and all the uncertainty around focusing on the market office building and that whole space. We had paused it a little bit, but now that we're back to full staffing, we really hope to do that. Because how it was before is it's not just, that once when you're starting, but also like, every other year subsequently to check on people too. So yes, it's definitely something we're investigating and need to focus a little bit more on it. And once the building comes down, I think that will be, easier to do that.
Yeah, and I mean, I know with the every other year ones that we're already a little bit behind on those. So that seems
Yes.
maybe something the city would want to stay on top of since that's
Yeah.
their code.
Yep.
All righty. Great. Thanks for asking that question, Emma. All right, on to events.
All right. Well, exciting times. We are continually filling out our events calendar. We've been having a lot of live music inquiries. We've been having a lot of community groups wanting to join us on Wednesdays. We continue to get applications for food trucks and food carts. So it's looking pretty good. We are also about to have Flower Day in the end of May. That is our first special event outside market hours of the year. The first actual special event is our first cooking demo that's going to come the second Wednesday market of the season. So that is stuff that we are looking at now. We just had a brand new flyer created today for Flower Day. And then we're going to need to start recruiting for that pretty soon here. But full speed ahead with all of our events. And anyone has questions or comments?
Jeb, was that a question or?
No, I was telling my wife I'm on Zoom.
Okay.
There's professors that come home at odd times.
True.
All right, and welcome, Jeff. All right, recruiting new PMAC members.
Yes, so I heard back from the clerk and they said, go to it, that they are ready to take applications. So if you know anybody, we can start referring them. We will have 3 openings, right? We have 1 replacing Peter, and then we have the 2 new ones that got created when we changed the bylaws. So we can do it. And how it works again is that they get the online application, which can be found on the city's website, and then they submit it. The mayor and whoever else makes the decisions, make their decision, and then they are able to join us.
And does it say, because I looked at the website last weekend and it still didn't have any openings. And so did the clerk say they were going to do that, or do I need to
She
be a
said
squeaky
that
wheel?
you can apply whenever is pretty much what she said. So even if it doesn't show it on the website as open, you can apply, is what she said to me. So I know it's a little confusing, but that was the answer that I was given.
So she should already have at least 1 application, because
She might.
Okay.
She might.
Is there
It's just hard for me to see. Yeah, go ahead.
is there a way for them to change it so that it does show vacancies? Just because that, as like a
There
city
should be.
commission, it seems like that's a very
Yes.
non-transparent way to be filling seats if we don't actually have the seats posted.
Right.
I guess
And
that
I
it's like
specifically,
feasible, but
yes.
yeah.
And I specifically asked her, like, hey, is there anything else we need to do this? And she basically was like, oh, people can apply whenever. And that was what she said. So I can follow up again, but I did ask already, and that was the answer that I was given.
yeah, it just still says 5 members, so it's, yeah, like not in alignment with the
Right.
bylaws.
And I even, I specifically said since we adopted the bylaws and this, that, and the other thing, and, so. So just ignore that for now, and then we should actively recruit is basically what I think the way to get around it is.
Yeah, I mean, when I've talked to people, I've said it's saying it's not open, but
Hmm.
it is open. We do have openings. Please apply. But I agree with Emma. It's not a very
Right.
welcoming
Right.
way for the city to
Right.
ask
Yeah.
for people to volunteer their time.
Right. And, I don't have access to update that part of the website, so I can
Yeah.
only ask them to do it. But, so that's the other side of it. But I have put the request in, and I'm just reporting back to y'all what I heard.
Yeah, well, thanks. I think I am in particular asking because I was like, who do I start emailing about this? I may just start emailing the mayor, I don't know, or his administrator or something.
Right. Right.
So, okay.
Yes.
As always, we're happy to be squeaky wheels. So, all righty. Okay, anything else about new PMAC members? Just the categories, there's definitely one vendor. Peter's position will be coming up, and that's the consumer. And then the third one is open to any of the categories: vendor, consumer, or customer, or neighbor. So,
Yep. Exactly.
okay. All right, then on to facilities repairs and demolition updates, which we're all waiting for with bated breath.
Right. So we'll do facilities and repairs first, and thank you, Jeb, for asking me some questions earlier this week to put this on the radar. There's a few things that are in process right now. There's like a leak near stall 60 that we're investigating, where I put in a request to restripe the area by stall 141 that was a tripping hazard zone. And I have also put in a longer term request for them to restripe the parking lot, because it is like in certain areas there are no lines left. It is very hard to see, but I'm assuming they're going to wait until the demolition is done to be able to do that, because they're going to be breaking up the concrete or the pavement, and it doesn't make sense for them to paint it then repaint it. So that is a more long-term one, but we hope that the 141 zone is faster than others. I heard back from Remy and others in the city about the bird netting, and I do not have good news. Unfortunately, they said that it came in way over budget. So now they're looking at, other options of how to pull that off, looking into what other markets do to do it. And I know it's disappointing because they had said, we're green lighting this and ready to go. And then I was told that's not the case. So I just wanted to make sure folks were aware of that. And those are really the only like facility repairs things I have before the demolition updates specifically.
You know what over budget means in terms of like numbers, like $100,000 over budget, or
I'm honestly, I don't think he told me the specific numbers, but the upside is Remy will be coming to our meeting next month to talk about other things. So that would be a great time to ask him.
perfect. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Jeb.
Yeah, I think I've seen remedy for that problem in other markets that maybe facilitate much easier than the netting. I think it's just something we should look at. I'll try to get some pictures and bring them
Okay.
and show them to
That'd
you.
be great. That'd be wonderful.
Yeah, I think there's a way to do this, even a market, the roofing structure is different on each one. But if I'm remembering, just looking at this thing, it's really one track. It's up at the peak, and there's some I-beams on either, but support beams, not I-beams, support beams on either side leaves like a kind of a channel. And I think the channel's the key. Netting's great. It may be overkill. So let's just take a look at it. But it's a difficult circumstance when you look at your customer and they've got a pie on their forehead. It's geez.
Right.
What we want is not hygienic.
Right. Right. That's super helpful. Thanks.
I've seen another market with a roof that actually the center portion is like a skylight sort of thing, so the birds don't want to be there anyways. So-
Great. Great. Well then, demo updates, drum roll. So as of right now, it is going to begin April 28th. And it's going to start first with the last element of moving our electrical from the post or the pole that they put in for the trailer, and then running it underneath the ground to the main utility box that they removed from the building. So that's the first element. And then after that, they hope to start the like physical demolition of the building. So it is imminent. It is coming soon. It is overlapping a little bit with Wednesday market and regular season, but we are hoping that it will be minimal impacts on market days and that they'll be able to close more of the lot on non-market days to get this going. But as of right now, that is the most up-to-date information that I have. Anyone have any questions?
How long do they think this is going to take?
Originally, they said 2 weeks. They're projecting a month just in case, but I do not know the details. That is something that I think, we'll have more info about coming soon once it gets actually underway.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about if it takes much longer and gets delayed, we're also talking about the artisan market and flower day, and that sounds like a huge nightmare.
I mean, the artisan market's already open, so it's no different than it being right now. But yes, it would be wonderful to have it be done before Flower Day. Any other questions? Okay. Well, that is
Okay.
all. Yeah, go ahead.
Construction updates.
Okay, great. So, no news is good news as far as I know. Nothing really has changed. We don't have any new information from the last time. Hopefully, Remy will be able to give some more information next month when he attends. But that is all that I have for right now. It's pretty much what it has been. No specific changes between last month and now.
And how about the construction projects around the market? Has
That's
had,
what I'm talking about.
but and have there been any impacts with demolition at Broncourt or?
No, as I said, it's not really anything different than last time.
Okay.
There's really been no developments to share.
Right, and when Remy comes next time, I'm hopeful that he can also give us a timeline for the re-envisioning for the market, community engagement aspect of things. So,
Yep.
Any other questions or comments about construction updates? Okay. All righty. The next, so we're through general updates, and now we're looking at the producer only subcommittee update, which I think is Emma.
Yeah, so Carlene and I have been meeting. I was planning to have a draft of things to send to people for this meeting, but I am unexpectedly moving right now, so things have been a little bit chaotic. Still within the Carytown kind of area for the committee. So I don't have that right now, but we've been thinking mostly about uh, partly the inspection stuff because it's hard to have any sort of producer only thing if there's no inspection because then there's no way of actually saying we're producer only. Um, and then, yeah, trying to simplify the stuff from the previous meetings to kind of get the key, like, intention of what the rules have been without making it like too fine-grained, but still in a way that an inspector might be able to use. And when we have that document, we'll share it with everybody and see where we're at with that.
Great.
Great, thank you. Sorry, I've got a cat yelling at me, so if you hear in the background, just ignore her, she's old. All right, any questions for Emma? Great. Thanks to you and Carlene for your work on doing that. All right, so I think we're on to new business, non-agenda items only. Sure.
I don't have anything.
Anybody else have any new business?
No, I did not.
All right, so just a reminder that next meeting is in person, and Peter did say he would do his best to be there, so we can thank him for all his work on PMAC. So,
Great.
all right, if there isn't any other new business, we're on to second public comment, and this doesn't have to be agenda items.
All right. I am seeing one person with a raised hand. Go. For some reason, the allowed to talk is. Oh, there you go. Now you can speak. Hey.
Yeah, it takes a minute
Yes.
for them to prompt you to unmute. Hi, this is
Hello.
Debbie Marks. Hi. I guess I'm supposed to give my name and address. I've been a vendor at the market for over 30 years, and I'm an Ann Arbor resident. I am confused because the meeting was not online. They're not on TV, and I was confused about that. The birds, I'm
you
glad
still
we're
there?
moving forward. Yes. Can you hear me?
Can anyone else
Yes,
hear?
I can
Not
hear.
Oh, can you hear me?
yes.
Okay. I'm going to continue. I'm glad we're moving forward on the bird dilemma. We've kind of missed our window anyway for installing the netting this year. They're already nesting, but we can do that, revisit that again for actually putting up whatever in late summer, early fall. The tripping zone, it's really bad. The stalls are 141 and 142, I believe. I see multiple trippings a day because I'm right across from there. And again, we don't have to wait for a demo or anything. We just need more yellow paint, and maybe even when vendors are not there is when it's the problem. Maybe a lightweight chain or something across there and point people in the direction of the entranceway so they're not cutting through. I'm looking forward to Remy being in person at the next meeting. You know, we have a lot of questions. I'm very disappointed that the demo is going so long. We've seen 3-story buildings come down in 2 days, down all around us. So for it to take a month is very, very disappointing. But anyway, I want to thank everybody again for all their extra effort and caring so much for our farmers market. And thank you. See you at the market. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Debbie.
Thanks, Debbie. Anybody else for public comment?
I am not seeing anyone else.
All right. Anybody else have anything they want to say before we adjourn? All righty, great. So it is 6:06, and so we'll adjourn this meeting, and thanks so much.